Hey guys, Yasa here with FreeBellyDanceClasses.com. Today's coffee talk is going to be about self-image improvement through belly dancing and through dance forms in general, or even through any type of workout, any physical activity for that matter. You hear this a lot about a lot of belly dancers that says, belly dance, it helped me, improve my self-image and my self-confidence. And then you have other people that, have not done it at all, but they say, I want to do it specifically because I think it will be good for my self-image and my, self-acceptance in a way. And I always wonder, how does that work? Why is it that the art of belly dancing is looked at that way? I personally have never done it for that specific reason. I grew up with it. I loved it. Enjoyed the movement, enjoyed the music. Therefore, I did it. I didn't have any other, reason to want to take it on. I know people that have done belly dancing or start doing it because it will help them with their back problems. I know people that are trying to kind of get their abs stronger after giving birth or whatever, surgeries, etc. So there are people that have specific reasons for doing belly dancing, and they think it will be a great exercise for them, especially because they're looking for a moderate form of exercise. But I have not personally experienced the idea of doing belly dancing as a self-image improvement exercise. But you do see a lot and you hear a lot of people that are actually into belly dancing for this specific reason. And get this all the time in workshops, in classes. Lots of you guys from my website follow me, and a lot of you email me and saying that thank you for the website, thank you for allowing me to learn this art. I always wanted to learn it to improve my self-image and my self-confidence. And, thanks to the website and thanks to doing belly dancing for so long, my self-confidence and my self-image is up to the roof and I feel so great, which is all wonderful. But it makes me wonder, why and how? Why is it that the art of belly dance itself is the one that makes you feel that way? Why don't you take a jazz ballet or some other dance form? Okay. And how? How is this art helping women feel better about themselves? And I approach it personally from a different point of view, and I think a lot of you might disagree with me, but I have so much experience when it comes to self-image in general, body, self-image, exercise, workout, fitness, movement. I deal with this all the time. I'm a sports nutritionist and I'm a fitness instructor. I'm a personal trainer, so I hear so many different stories. And one story that I hear that's very common, and I think it does relate a lot to all these women that are out there taking belly dancing as a way to improve their self-image. One story that I hear a lot is that there's a lot of women that are constantly trying to either be skinny or lose weight, or because we live in a crazy society that values that, and as much as we women believe that that is wrong and is unhealthy, we buy into it because otherwise you don't fit in, right? So I see a lot of these women come and go, with me, and it's just a common thread amongst all those women, which is such an indication of what our society is at and what this generation of women in this society is at mentally and physically right now, and with the physical challenges that they have to deal with. And ultimately, I think what really helps these women, at the end of like maybe 10, 20, 40 years of struggling with weight and of dieting and, so many different things, some of them even deal with, eating disorders, anorexia, bulimia, you name it. After so many years of dealing with all this, what I see that helps most of these women at the end of this long road of battling is self-acceptance. Is accepting the fact that you live in a society that has unrealistic expectations of you and your body, right? And then you learn to accept yourself the way you are in a healthy way, rather than trying to look a certain way because somebody said that's how you're supposed to look like, rather than trying to be a certain weight because somebody said, well, based on your height and your measurements, blah, 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 you should be weighing this much. Well, if you are just 2 pounds heavier than that, by golly, you don't fit in. And there's women that buy into that, unfortunately, because there's so much pressure on us socially to fit in this perfect image, whatever that perfect image might be. So I think a lot of women at the end of that long road, as I said, they really start to accept the fact that there's nothing wrong with them. Okay, if there's anything wrong in this whole dilemma, is actually with society that we live in that has these extremely unrealistic expectations of women. And so they start loving themselves and accepting themselves, and they're not necessarily the skinny women anymore, but they're happy and healthy. And to them, that is worth everything. And unfortunately, a lot of women do come to this realization like way later in life, And there is a movement to understanding that and to really waking up to the reality of the damage that these women are causing to their bodies by this constant dieting just to fit in this image. There is definitely a movement to spread this awareness. And I think there's a lot of younger women that are also aware because they've heard, the word being spread that, hey, dieting isn't going to do it for you. Being skinny is not the way to be. You got to be fit. You got to be healthy. So there is definitely this spread of word coming out there. And as I say, young women are hearing it and listening. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that they're following it. And I think the reason they're following is because they haven't seen the consequences of their actions yet, because they're still young. And unfortunately, the consequences are long term. Eventually, this whole dieting cycle is going to catch up with you and you're going to hurt yourself. So there is a movement of self-acceptance. And people find the self-acceptance in so many different ways. Some people find it the hard way. They get so sick. They are anorexic or bulimic or whatever. They ended up being hospitalized, when they have some serious health issues. And it's just like, a big wake-up call for them. Some women, end up dealing with depression for so long because they just, no matter what they do, they will never be that weight that they feel like they have to be, and they, go through this trauma and this self-hatred, and, which leads to, gosh, so many things, depression, you name it. And then they struggle so much with that, and they hate themselves having to deal with that, and they're like, that's it, I got to do something else. And then at the end of that road, that really, really bad battle of depression, they end up thinking, I just have to accept myself. I don't have to be somebody else, So there's so many different ways to find that self-acceptance. And I think a lot of people that are interested in the art of belly dance, or to do it and they say, oh my gosh, I'm so loving of myself, they don't necessarily improve their self-image, which is what they usually say. I mean, it could be an improvement, but it's not like all of a sudden I feel better about myself. No, I think you're more like accepting yourself as you are right now. There's no improvement per se. There is an improvement in overall outlook on life, because you accepted that attitude of self-acceptance. And I really think there's a lot more self-acceptance of the woman's body and of a certain reality more than an improvement. Because your body doesn't necessarily improve, right? You might lose a few pounds here and there. You might, feel fit, healthy. Get a lot of sweat working out. It's all good, and you have to do that. And all humans have to do that. That's what makes us alive. But nothing changes. It's like we go back in a way and accept the person that we were trying to change later. So there is a self-acceptance process that happens, which is fantastic. I think women should totally get into that and really accept who they are, instead of trying to be something that is so unrealistic. Because if you really know what those women go through, the ones that you look at as these role models, you want to be there. I mean, there's a reason all those people deal with, not all, but a lot of them, and the majority, in fact, deal with things like drugs and alcohol and you name it. There's a reason, because they just don't like themselves, and they have to live in this fake world, and therefore they have to kind of numb their minds and their bodies from thinking about it. And of course, drugs and alcohol do that. But my bottom line here is really self-accept yourself and love yourself for who you are, and don't try to change it. You can try to be healthy, but don't try to be necessarily just skinny and fit into some image that somebody else thinks you should be. You should fit into the image that you think you should be. Okay, if you love yourself, when you look at yourself in the mirror, you're like, I'm skinny enough, I'm thin enough, I like how this looks, there's nothing wrong with the way this looks, then that's great. Take that with a grain of salt and live your life. Don't try to be something else and somebody else in a certain ways and a certain whatever, okay? And if you find that through the art of belly dancing, fantastic. And I think the reason the belly dancing does that to women is because it's an art form that really advertised itself as a dance form for all bodies. It is already saying that before you even join it. We're saying, hey, this is a dance you can do no matter how big you are. And in fact, the more curves you have, the better, you know. So we already advertise ourselves that way. And I think in a way it's kind of like it's an open door, you know, welcoming these women. It's like, we don't judge here. There's no judgment. You don't have to be skinny. And so they started because of that, because there's already an open door with a big heart from the belly dance community. And then when they walk in there and they see that they are healthy, they're fit and happy, with a group of people that doesn't judge body sizes or anything. People do it sometimes. It's not like they don't do it in the belly dance world. Of course they do. There's plenty of them that do. But as I said, as a dance form, this is more accepting. I mean, in fact, like if you go to ballet or some other dance forms, they will tell you from the start, you don't fit here. Like if you're already heavy, they'll say, I don't think this is the right dance for you. They'll say that from the start. Nobody says that to you from the start in belly dancing. Does somebody think it? Yeah, I'm sure there is. People think stuff all the time. Those are the people that haven't gotten to that self-acceptance yet. But for you as a person walking there and seeing all these different body types and not feeling like somebody has to tell you, you don't fit here, you have to go to some other dance form because this is just for the skinny people, is really, it kind of relieves a big burden on your shoulder, which is great, that's what we want. So I think there is that open door, there's that welcoming mind and spirit, and there's also the fact that it is just known to be that way. No, again, I am not one to say, you can be obese and the art of belly dancing will accept you. You need to take care of your health too. I'm just saying, like, people that are thinking like they have to be skinny in order, like really thin in order to be in a dance form. You don't really have to be that way. So there is, of course, you got to draw the line in certain things of what's healthy and what's not, okay? Chubby could be healthy. I mean, obese obviously cannot. There's lines that we could talk about that forever. But the bottom line, and I want to finish this really quick here, but I just want to say that for those of you who think that you're going to start the art of belly dancing, you're going to necessarily change something about your self-image, I really don't think that kind of happens in that sense. I don't think really big changes. I think you just go back to your real you and really self-accept that. And there's joy and relief in that, and that's great. And I think there's more of that happening. And I don't, I might be wrong. Like, I would love to hear what you guys have to say and what you think. Why do you think belly dancing is advertised that way? And why does it really help women feel better about their bodies and about themselves than maybe other dance forms? So it'd be great to start that conversation and see what you guys think. So I'll finish it here, and I'd love to hear from you, and we can start a great conversation. FreeBellyDanceClasses.com, that's our website. That's where we learn all things belly dance. We work out, we learn choreographies, we learn different techniques, and also we do talks like this so we can connect and not just move, but sometimes stop and think, right? Okay. I'll see you next time on FreeBellyDanceClasses.com. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.